When we study art in the 19th century, we have to be very aware of the dominance of academic art. So we've already seen academic art in the work of David. We saw that the Academy, the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture, was founded by Louis XIV. And here in this painting, you see an artist, Léon Cochereau, depicting the studio. L'atelier de David is the studio of David. In other words, this studio is where the knowledge of David as a great practitioner of academic art is passed on. Academic art is associated with classical and neoclassical artistic values. So you see how the students of David here in his studio are learning to draw meticulously from the nude in order to know anatomy, to be able to depict the body in an ideal and beautifully muscled form. In the wake of the revolution, the Academy is no longer called the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture. It's called the Académie des Beaux-Arts. Beaux-Arts, beautiful arts, the fine arts, you could say. So the authors start with their first focused section on French academic architecture and art because they want you to understand that academic art is still the dominant institution, the established style. It sets the standards. It controls what people value. As they say here, it exerts a powerful influence over the visual arts in France in the 19th century. So the grand staircase at the Paris Opera House that they show you is continuing everything you've studied since we began. The Baroque, the neoclassical, arches, columns, the whole language of high art. And so paintings like this one are still working with the ancient Greek and Roman mythology, here the birth of Venus, just as we saw Bernini doing in the 1600s. And these sort of academic skills of amazing illusionism, incredibly well-defined anatomy, modeled form, allows you to have, softcore porn given a little high art gloss for Napoleon III, the elite, the ultra elite ruling class client. Moving from Cabanel to Carpeaux, the dance, your authors make an editorial mistake. They introduce a very crucial term, but they don't define it for you. So I want you to stop and look at this sentence. Although academic and avant-garde art are often seen as polar opposites, the relationship was more complex. Avant-garde is a major term. They should have explained it. So avant-garde is French, and avant is before, garde, the guard. So it's the advanced guard, the vanguard of a military company. So it's in soldiers going into battle. It's those who go at the front, those who push the edge. And so we begin to see an idea of artists who are deliberately pushing the edge of what art can be. Academicism is conservative. It's about tradition, what's already authoritative, what's already dominant. The classical, the Baroque, the inherited grand manner that is already associated with the magnificence of the ruling class. The avant-garde will be a kind of shocking, challenging, unusual art that seems to challenge the received values. It seems to actually bring into view new values associated with potentially new kinds of economic, social, and cultural power. So as the chapter unfolds, we will see the proliferation of images that go against academic values or seem to subvert them. Certainly the invention of photography will be a kind of a shock to the academic system, where you get a machine for making pictures that creates astonishing illusions, but involves none of the skill of hand and mind and eye coordinated that you saw being handed down in David's studio. But it's not just photography as a technology. It's also painters, sculptors, artists like Gustave Courbet who are self-consciously making an art that rejects what the Academy has established, rejects official institutions and rejects their values. It doesn't want Venus floating on the sea, doesn't want mythology used to uphold the self-image of the ruling class, wants to actually look hard at the truth of life for the poorest, for the people who are on the outside of French society, the day laborers working as stone breakers on the edge of the road. So we will talk about realism as the first great avant-garde movement of the 19th century. And it is definitely making itself a kind of an antithesis to academicism.